What I hope to get out of this retreat when I came in, and this is how I presented it to my wife, my friends, I'm like, I'm going for a rest and reset. I'm like, this is a retreat about the whole self, first of all. It's not just a yoga retreat. It's about being the better you, focus on myself, figure out what I need to do to be better for myself so I can be a better father, partner, husband, employee, and that was my main focus.
And that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna get connected to your sense of clarity and alignment, because we all know diets and exercise only works if we can stick to it long term.
It's not uncommon that we become the solution to the problems that we face the most. So the brain wants to be able to predict what's going to happen next. And the best way to predict the future is to create it.
So, Be the Better You weekend for me is all about all of the things that we don't do in the workouts. For me, I think of leaning into vulnerability as like this icky thing because it's like, it's uncomfortable. And when you are vulnerable, there's a chance that someone could take that and not be gentle with it. And then you don't want to come out, you don't want to be vulnerable. So what I'm really going to push you guys over the next, especially tomorrow, is to be honest about what you're scared about, and to be honest what your motivation is. And when we ask you, why do you want to be healthy? And you say, because I want to live longer, and we say, why do you want to live longer? To actually give us your answer, to not shy away from it. Because in that moment, when you're digging deeper, that's where the true power of the answer is, but it requires you to be willing to go there.
I decided to do the retreat because I just wanted to become a better person.
By signing up for this retreat, I was looking for some inspiration because I'd like to be more consistent with my practice. When I saw this retreat, it was like it just screamed out at me that I've got to do this with other guys, and I just really wanted to be a part of a group.
People would be like, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, I'm going to a yoga retreat. And they're like, huh? Right? Like they're like, yoga retreat. I'm like, no, it's not what you think it is, right?
I signed up for this retreat because I was really excited about the idea of going to a place that was outside of my normal sort of habitat and focusing on doing yoga with a group of guys in an organized and sort of holistic way. And it's something I'd wanted to do actually for decades and never had the right opportunity. I was thrilled when I got the email from Dean asking if I'd be interested. It was a very quick yes.
What I hoped to get out of the retreat was a better understanding of how to better organize my exercise time and like what I should focus on. And I'm pretty confident there's like a hierarchy where I should actually begin. The problem is I don't actually have any clue what the hierarchy is.
What I wanted to do was just get inside Dean's mind about why he teaches yoga the way he does, you know, and because it is a masculine approach to the activity. I enjoy that, and it's just sort of like, oh yeah, he admits certain things like, I can't do this pose. I'm like, wait a minute, you're Mr. Yoga, and you're admitting to your community that is so human, that is so real.
So outer thigh facing down, inner thigh facing up. Exhale, come forward. Keep that length through the front of your body. One of my favorite stretches is that lunge that we did at the beginning with the knee poking forward. So like you could do a squat like that, but you're putting a lot of strain on your lower back. And if you look at like weightlifters, they're all the knees are past the toes. They're in full knee flexion, like knees all the way forward, heels down. They're here, like with knees really far forward. They're not keeping their knees behind the toes. Your why is the reason why you do something. More significantly than just the reason for doing something, it is the ultimate reason for doing something. It is when you ask why and you get to the point when you say just because, that's when you found your real why. When you found something that is deeply personal and deeply emotional and something that you have difficulty talking about just because it is that personal and emotional to you, now you found your why. The clearer that you can get on it, the easier it is to do all of this stuff. The easier it is to live a healthy lifestyle, the easier it is to do all the things that go into living a healthy lifestyle, the less motivation that is required for you to do the things that are sometimes hard to do. So when you have your why, and when you're clear on it, then this all gets easier.
My big takeaway thus far is that Dean is a big thinker, and I didn't realize that from following his practice online. The retreat has been a really surprising sort of amalgam of thought and physical activity, and all imbued by a sort of spirit of trying to better ourselves.
As far as a takeaway from the retreat, it happened today, and just the realization that I'm responsible for my own narrative and my own behaviors. I can't change other people.
Being honest with yourself and being prepared to hear other people's honest answers is something that, you know, if you're going to do something like this, that's sort of prerequisite. And I realize that you will actually get a lot more out of it if you are willing to be honest. You don't necessarily have to verbalize it if you don't want to, but just being honest with yourself will get you much further, you know, through the process.
My entire life is a single-minded obsession with human transformation and human potential. Understanding at a really deep level how we operate, how our mind works, how we construct reality, and how we self-actualize to really find out what we're made of. I grew up in very, very challenging circumstances. I couldn't stand myself for most of my life. I got in my own way a lot. And you know, it's not uncommon that we become the solution to the problems that we face the most.
Ani
You know, Ani Manian was like, unfuck your mind.
felt a little bit like group therapy in a very positive way. He called me on my bullshit a little bit, which I was in the hot seat, but I was able to stay present and gain some insights that I had no idea I would get.
It's much easier to keep doing what we're used to doing, keep repeating the familiar. It's just so much easier. Because not only does the brain like that, it really likes the familiar. It really likes being able to predict, because the brain is a prediction machine. So the brain wants to be able to predict what's going to happen next. And the best way to predict the future is to create it.
He had a intensely compassionate and intelligent approach to how he spoke with us, to how he asked questions, how he responded to what people said.
We have a unique opportunity. I call it a window of neuroplasticity in this session, where you can create something new. You can go off the default, the autopilot that you've been in for whatever amount of time, and you can create something new, you can create something fresh. Because nothing that you've done in your life until now, no matter how long you've dragged along certain habits, certain patterns, certain feelings, certain emotions, certain trauma, certain thoughts, beliefs, whatever sense of self you've been carrying. Just because you've dragged it along for several decades doesn't mean you have to bring it into the next moment.
The sessions have been beautifully run and very powerful. I feel like I've already gotten out of this retreat as much as I had hoped to take away, and I know there's more.
Thigh and your abs toward one another. So you're using your hips, you're using your core to support yourself here. See how that forces your core and your hips to work instead of using your hands? And then squeeze your arms up. Relax. Push your right hand into the block. Lift your left hand up. Don't move your chest. Go back down. Everyone go back down. Without moving your chest. Only lift your arm.
This is amazing. All these vegetables.
How they been work? What have you done? I was traveling.
I never thought I would open up to a bunch of strangers the way I have. I mean, it just, if you would have said, okay, there's 12 guys, but when you go around the room and you see these repeating themes of people not getting their needs met, or, you know, they're in a situation that there's no solution to, or, you know, these kinds of things, and then you realize you're not alone.
My promise is this: at the end of this hour, you will have asked yourselves questions that you wouldn't normally take the time to ask yourself. You'll gain clarity on the things that are actually important to you. You'll have a good idea about what stuff you need to do more of and do less of. And I'm going to give you an opportunity at the very end of this session to maybe even declare those things and share them with your fellow brothers here. Write the word values. And I want you to take a moment, maybe around 1 minute, and I'll prompt you through a series of questions to write down what your deepest values are. What are your deepest desires at this stage in life? So at this exact stage you're in right now, what are your deepest desires? If you knew it would happen for certain, what do you want to desire in the next 1 to 10 years? So a particular experience that if we could, and it was absolutely going to happen, what do you absolutely want to happen in the next 1 to 10 years? You actually can read this today as a declaration of stuff you've become more clear on. Is the subtext of this whole experience is you know the answers. Like, you have the answers.
Today, I want to talk about what are some ways. So I actually brought in, this is Adam. Adam is a licensed.
Hi, Adam.
Licensed count.
How's the E?
What is the LPCA, so Licensed Professional Counselor Associate, essentially a therapist. Something that I'm really passionate about, trying to, I think, bridge that gap between mental health and conversations around mental health, because I find it very, very important. We don't allow ourselves to feel as much. We feel like we have to really be strong and be the head of the household, or whatever you want to call it, right? Buck up. Yeah, buck up, pull yourselves up by the bootstrap. So I think everyone experiences that, but I think as men, we uniquely experience that.
Sessions today, Adam Horn, it was just I don't know, it's like an equalizing conversation about therapy and mental health, and we don't talk about it. Men don't talk about it. I've done therapy, but it's almost a little bit like a dirty little secret, right? You're not gonna bring it up in a group full of men because I think it shows weakness. And I think what I liked about Adam's conversation is it made it perfectly normal, and not something you only do during a crisis, but something that you do to be the better you.
The world is shifting. It's becoming less stigmatized. More men are talking about this. More people are doing it. Like, we're on the right track. So trying to continue to recruit people with me in helping lead that. So just highlighting the difficulties that men uniquely experience and encouraging you guys.
Couple things that I think are important before we just have a dialogue and we just talk. And I really want to invite you to ask questions and lean in, and I'm going to ask you just to trust right away. You know, this isn't just men's work, this is boys' work. We're not just talking about you, the put together 40, 50, 60, whatever your age is, like that construct of what you're presenting to the world. But if you're here doing this work, the exploration is the past also. Because just because it's our 8-year-old, it's still part of you today. You're still doing today work, you just happen to be using the frame of your 8-year-old, your 12-year-old, your 16-year-old, where all these things began. We're just all trying to be ourselves, be accepted, belong. That's it. And do you know why you want to belong with a group? You know why you want to belong with a group? At the core? Because you just want to belong with yourself. And if the group can accept you, maybe you can accept you.
it was a lot of information in a very short period of time. I'm definitely going to be unpacking it for quite some time. The most obvious thing that I take away from this is that men especially need more of this. I mean, generally speaking, you don't, like, John Roman came in and he was touching people, and that struck me. I was like, men don't touch each other. Like, it's not a thing, like in society, like you shake hands and that's it. And just to have such an open group of guys together, to experience that all together and say, like, this is possible, this is what this could look like, is so impactful in so many ways that I don't even know how many ways there are yet, because I haven't unpacked it enough yet to find out.
John, from the Front Row Dads, like, that one took me for a big surprise. I don't know, I guess I was like, a guy who brings men together, is like, I'm like, what is he gonna offer? Like, it kind of blew my mind, actually. Like, his insights and the emotions he brought out in people, I think was super powerful.
I'm Garrett, founder of NewFit, and I believe that the most powerful and transformative way to help people recover from pain and injury is to work directly with the nervous system. So we are best known for the Newbie device, for neurobioelectric stimulator. And one of the things that makes this technology unique is that it's direct current instead of alternating current. What we're able to do is take that direct current to speak directly, more powerfully, more precisely to the nervous system. We could actually take one of the pads, we can scan around on the body and find exactly where the nervous system is guarding, inhibiting, where it's shutting down, where there's hypersensitivity that could lead to chronic pain. It could be a response to a recent injury or habits built up in response to an injury from years or decades ago.
Get down, get in there.
Shut up!
You could be many places. My other invitation is this: don't wish you were somewhere else. Don't wonder if there's a better men's group. Don't wonder if there's a better place, a better house, a better moment. Like, if you can totally be here for each other, if you can really believe in this community, then you become the party that other people look at and go, I want that too. You know, that's attraction. Resonance is attraction. Resonance is attraction. That's what it does. You have the opportunity to become legendary for each other, and then let that be an example for the world. You find it here.
All right, so this is our last yoga session. Boo. Today, this is your last yoga session today, until you get home. What poses have we not done? We haven't done pigeon? So as you're arching, shoulder blades come together, you're lengthening your back. You're lengthening the back of your neck too, not just arching, but keeping the back of your neck long. So up and back, right? And then forward, and then down, and then down and back. Using your hip flexors, it's really all this counterbalance in your hip flexors to hold yourself up. Otherwise, you'd be like this, right? So it's using the hip flexors to stay upright. And you can point your toes.
These are essentially natural laws that we all have to obey. We've obeyed these natural laws for millennia. And just in recent history, we have started to have optionality whether or not we obey these laws. For example, we don't ever have to go outside if we don't need to. But I have a belief that the sun is quite important, and we have evolved, with the sun and the moon. Same goes with our diet, same goes with hydration, same goes with our sleep. And one of the first things when people say I hate working out, first thing I want to know is, like, what is your sleep like? Because our brains are so intelligent. They're trying to save us from any sort of, like, we don't want to do challenging things if we just need, just the basic requirements to be a human being.
Because I want to spend a lot of time with y'all on helping you figure out where to put your attention when you go home. Because these events are fantastic. And I was just in the last conversation, you could spend a year implementing everything that Jesse said, right? Now that we've been through this weekend, is there any, I like the title of this day, which is Show Up, right? And one of my teachers, he has this whole thing. It's wake up, grow up, show up. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna teach you how to fortify a goal or fortify a new habit in a way.
So Mike Bledsoe came in after Jesse, and I think him being a veteran and the work that he does now was like a fresh take, because a lot of the speakers previously were like therapists or life coaches, and it was kind of nice to have him be just like a little bit more of like the average guy, like a military vet. Like everybody knows a military vet. For the last speaker to still be so impactful after such a dense weekend, I mean, I know that I'm still going to be unpacking this for the next week, if not longer.
We've each gone through and thought about it. We haven't actually had a chance to come together and share what those whys are. So, does everybody have their why top of mind? We had the first whole Friday was all about figuring out what's that deep personal reasoning why you want to live a healthier life, right?
It started with better partner, better employee, better father, but I think the root of it needs to be the self.
I have taken away so many pieces of information that are practical that I can implement right away, or setting a goal for myself. So one of the things was around some habits that I have. I think they're having a negative impact, which I didn't really realize except when I talk it through it. And so learning about the negative impact of those habits, it's not just you got to stop the habits. You got to figure out why you're doing those things and what you need to replace that with.
Yeah, what's the fear?
Fear of disappointing others.
What would happen if you disappointed people?
Even if the world ended, even if you disappointed people, you're still good enough. You're still worthy of being loved. So all of that, all of the lifestyle improvements you want to make goes back to this feeling for love and acceptance and feeling good enough. But you're already good enough, because you are.
My why for being here is to give me the tools and tips in terms of making sure that I'm the best version of myself in my relationship with God, with my family, my coworkers, neighbors, community. And
the connections that the guys have made here, the personal growth, the personal introspection in terms of really trying to figure out, who we are, what makes us tick, how can we be better husbands, how can we be better fathers.
It's been up and down. When I first got here, I wasn't sure I was going to mix. I was othering myself and keeping myself a little separate. The sessions we've had have really broken that down, and now I feel connected. I definitely feel the support of these guys here.
I think I'm going to distill it down to I want to be satisfied, because external stress and pressures from work and just life in general. The content, the presentation, I don't want to say miracle, but to have it have gone so smoothly the way it did and have it be so impactful in such a short amount of time really speaks to how successful it is. And it's, again, I don't want to say this big word like life-changing, but the tools are here for you to pick up, and if you want them to be, they can be life-changing. The only concrete expectation I had would have been to be improved myself in some way, and I can for 100% sure say that I will. And then to have such a diverse group of gentlemen from even just all age ranges. I mean, how many people are you friends with outside of work that, like a grandfather, a father, half the guys were my dad's age, a couple were my grandfather's age. If it had been a less open group of guys, I don't think it would have been quite as successful. But yeah, I mean, the community aspect is probably one of my favorite things that we experienced this weekend. Someone thinking about going to a BTBU weekend should stop thinking and just go. There's no question.